Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're really getting into something that affects everyone. Personal finance, growing your wealth, and maybe surprisingly, the financial services industry itself.
Yeah, we've got a lot of source material here. Research, notes, articles.
We do. And our job, like always, is to kind of cut through all that complexity, find the key takeaways, and give you a shortcut to understanding it all.
Exactly. We're talking about how money really works, how it can grow, sometimes dramatically, and maybe even some opportunities in the finance field you haven't thought about.
And hopefully you'll get some, actionable insight strategies you can actually use.
Right. And just a clearer picture of the current financial world. We want you thinking critically about your own future, your planning.
Okay, so let's start there. The sources jump right into what they call the demand and the state of the industry. And it pretty quickly shows why understanding this stuff isn't just like a good idea.
Sure.
It's becoming essential.
Definitely. One thing that really jumps out is the raw numbers for the average American household. You look at June 2023, the median home price, $426,046.
Wow, over 400,000.
Yeah, and compare that to the median household income, $74,580. But wait, there's more. Average yearly expenses in 2022, $86,268.
So expenses are higher than income for the median household.
That's what the numbers show. It really highlights this fundamental challenge, the squeeze, where costs are outpacing income. It makes every dollar count. You need it working harder, smarter.
That's pretty sobering. Sets a serious tone. But then the sources shift gears to the state of the industry. What's happening there?
Well, this is interesting, too. They point out that nearly half of all current financial advisors are over 55.
Okay, so an aging workforce in that sector.
Exactly. And building on that, nearly a third of them were projected to retire over the next 10 years. The estimate was a shortfall of maybe 200,000 advisors by 2022.
200,000, that's a huge gap.
It is. It points towards a potential advice gap. Finding good guidance might get harder.
So for you listening, someone already thinking about your money, what does this mean? Just find an advisor quick, or is there like an opportunity here?
It's kind of both, really. It does mean finding experienced, reliable advice might be tougher as advisors retire, so being informed yourself is critical.
Right.
But on the flip side, if you have an interest or aptitude for this stuff, it signals a huge area of need, a growth area. The field needs new talent.
Makes sense. A challenge, but also maybe an opening. Okay, that context is helpful.
Yeah.
Let's pivot now to how money actually grows, compounding. The rule of 72 comes up.
Yes, the rule of 72. Good old shortcut. Divide 72 by your interest rate, and that's roughly how many years it takes for your money to double.
Right. But the examples in the sources really show how much the rate matters. It's not just academic.
Oh, absolutely. Look at this. $10,000 invested at age 29 at just 1% interest. It doubles to $20,000 at age 101.
101. So basically, inflation eats it all.
Pretty much. Now, same $10,000, same age 29, but at 6% interest, it doubles by age 41. Then $40,000 by 53, maybe $80,000 by 65, doubling every 12 years.
Okay, that's starting to look like real growth.
But here's where it gets really dramatic. At 12% interest, that $10,000 at 29, it's $20,000 by 35, and keep that going. By age 65, it could be $640,000.
640,000 from 10,000.
Doubling every 6 years. It just shows the incredible power of both the rate and time. Starting early, even with less, can have a massive impact down the line. Patience pays off.
It really does. Every percentage point counts. Okay, the sources also break down growth into three main types: fixed, variable, and index. Can you clarify those?
Yeah, these are important distinctions. Fixed growth is, fixed, low, steady returns. Predictable, but slow. Not much fluctuation.
Like a CD or a basic savings account, maybe?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you have variable growth. That's the market roller coaster. Big ups, potential big downs. Think stocks, mutual funds. High potential reward, but also significant risk of loss.
Okay. And the third one, indexed. That sounds like a mix.
It's presented that way, yeah. Index strategies aim to capture some of the market's upside, often up to a cap, but crucially, they protect your principal and locked-in gains when the market goes down.
So if the market drops, you don't lose value.
Generally, you stay flat instead of going down below your previous high point. It's like aiming for market-linked growth, but with the safety net. Understanding these differences is key to picking what fits your own risk tolerance, right?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
growth is one thing, but then there's taxes. The sources really emphasize this. How does taxation fit into the picture?
Hugely important. If growth gets eaten by taxes, what's the point? The sources outline three main tax categories. first, taxed now.
Like regular income tax on interest.
Exactly. Savings accounts, CDs, non-qualified stocks, mutual funds, you pay tax on the gains or income each year.
Okay. Simple, but maybe not ideal long-term.
Right. That tax drag adds up. Second, taxed later. This is your tax-deferred stuff. Think 401ks, traditional IRAs, some annuities. You often get a deduction now, but pay income tax on everything when you withdraw it in retirement.
Got it. Defer the pain, but it's still coming.
Pretty much. Then the third category, advantaged. These are strategies designed for tax-free growth or tax-free withdrawals if you follow the rules.
Examples.
The sources list Roth IRAs, municipal bonds, and something called LIRP life insurance retirement plans.
And related to that, the sources mention tax-free savings and make a bold claim. Taxes will go up in the near future. Do they back that up?
They present it as very likely, pointing to things like government spending, national debt trends. They don't really offer counter-arguments. The implication is clear. If you think taxes are going up, strategies that lock in tax-free income later become way more attractive.
Right. It shifts the focus from just earning to keeping what you earn.
Exactly.
So with that tax context, they detail a tax-free retirement strategy using an Indexed Universal Life Policy, or IUL. They use the acronym PERCS. Can you break that down? How does it leverage those tax advantages?
Okay, PERCS. It's framed as a multi-tool strategy. P is for protection life insurance, sure, but also living benefits for illness, long-term care options.
So protection while you're alive, too.
Yes. E is for emergency funds you can access the cash value, often without penalties or complicated loans. R is for tax-free retirement income, which is a key goal, using the life insurance tax rules.
Tax-free income in retirement, that's powerful.
Very. C is for college funds, again, flexible access to the cash value. And S is for savings, the potential for growth linked to an index, maybe 8% or more, they suggest, with that downside protection we talked about.
And they mentioned it's safe like a bank, but also reference a tax code, 1913 IRC 7702A.
Right. The safety isn't FDIC insurance, it's the contractual guarantee against market loss from the insurance company. That tax code, 7702A, is what defines it as life insurance, allowing for that tax-free growth and access, provided it's structured correctly. It's not just a death benefit product anymore.
Other catches.
Key conditions mentioned are you have to qualify health and finances, and it's designed for the long term, not a short-term savings plan.
Okay, that clarifies the IUL strategy. Now, the sources talk about the power of choice. What does that mean in this context? Lots of products.
It really means a wide range of tools available. You've got indexed annuities, IULs like we discussed, traditional life insurance but with those tax benefits, long-term care planning, college plans.
Standard stuff, too, like 401k rollovers.
Yeah, 401k and IRA rollovers, estate planning services. And they list a bunch of well-known companies involved. Allianz, Athene, Nationwide, North American National Life Group. Lots of players.
So it's a diverse market. The sources then mention 3 modern ways we help families. What are those?
These seem like responses to specific modern worries. First, income protection plans. Basically updating older life policies to add those living benefits, getting money if you have a critical or chronic illness, not just upon death.
That makes sense. Big help during a health crisis.
Huge. Second is guaranteed income for life. This is aimed squarely at baby boomers, right? That fear of running out of money in retirement. Annuities often play a role here, providing a predictable paycheck for life.
Addressing that longevity risk. Okay. And the third?
Back to tax-free savings. Just reinforcing that idea of preparing for potentially higher taxes later by saving tax efficiently now.
Seems like a recurring theme. These aren't just products. They're solutions to specific anxieties.
That's how they're framed. And related to guaranteed income, there's another strategy mentioned, the personal private pension, using the acronym GRP.
GRIP, what's that stand for?
Guarantees a specific rate of return potential, an index strategy again, and pension meaning that income for life feature.
And it has that locking gains feature.
Yes, the visual they use shows that. Once the index goes up and your account value increases, that new higher value becomes your floor. If the market drops the next year, you don't fall below that locked-in point. You just stay flat or go up from there.
That's appealing. Protection against downturns after you've made gains. Any conditions for this GRP strategy?
Mentioned are being eligible, and the company offering it has to allow what's called an in-service distribution if you're, say, rolling over funds while still working.
Got it. So lots of options for you, the listener, to consider depending on your specific goals, protection, guaranteed income, tax savings. It's about finding the right fit.
Exactly. The power of choice.
Okay, let's bring this back around to the industry itself. We started by talking about that advisor shortfall. The sources also give some numbers on potential earnings in this field.
Yeah, and they're pretty eye-opening, especially considering that demand. For an associate-level person, they suggest helping just 4 families save $250 a month could lead to earnings around $93,600 a year.
93,000 for helping 4 families with a relatively small amount.
That's the potential shown. And if those families save $1,000 a month instead, the potential earnings jump to $374,400.
Wow. Okay. What about higher levels?
They show a national field vice chairman helping 4 families save $250 a month, potential earnings $158,400. If those families save $1,000 a month, the figure shown is $633,600.
Over 600,000. These numbers certainly highlight the potential income in financial services.
They definitely illustrate a significant earnings opportunity tied to helping families achieve their financial goals.
And for someone thinking about getting into it, the sources mention different starting points.
Right. It's not necessarily an all-or-nothing jump. You could start by experiencing a complementary financial strategy yourself, or become a referral agent, or start as a part-time agent, then maybe move to full-time senior broker.
So multiple entry ramps.
Yeah, it suggests flexibility depending on your commitment level and goals. Given the need for advisors we talked about earlier, these pathways and earning potentials really paint a picture of opportunity. It seems like a field where you could potentially do well by doing good, addressing that advice gap.
So summing up this deep dive, quite a journey. We looked at the current financial pressures, the need for advice.
Yeah, then how money grows, that rule of 72, fixed, variable, indexed growth.
Critically, how it's taxed. Now, later or advantaged, like with IULs using Pure TS or that GRIORP pension idea.
We touched on specific solutions: income protection, guaranteed income for life, tax-free savings, and that whole power of choice in the market.
And finally, circle back to the industry itself, the advisor gap, and the potential career paths and earnings.
So maybe the final thought for you to consider is this. In a world where finance feels increasingly complex, and good advice is clearly in demand, how could getting a deeper handle on these concepts really change things for you?
Right. Whether it's transforming your own financial future or maybe even stepping in to help others navigate theirs. Something to think about.